Howdy, folks from all different strokes, whether you're gay, straight, or queer, it's all accepted here. Transmitting video signals from 2,650.9 miles away, we have the beautiful, the wonderful, the amazingly creative Robbie Burgos and Valerie Cooper, otherwise known as Sweet Trip. Everybody say hello.
Hi,
Hello. Hi.
everybody. Hello, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Feelings Club and Scene for having us.
Oh, we're
Thank
just
you.
glad to have you guys. So yeah, before we get started, is there anyone that you'd like to give thanks to or shout out?
I just want to say hi to my mom if you're listening, which I don't think so. Hello, that everybody, I guess. All of you. Hello, Dad.
We've got a lot of come to Argentinas in here and come to Brazils. You guys plan on doing
I
a
want
South
to.
American tour at all?
Yes, we will soon as the government allows foreigners to enter from. I got vaccinated, so yeah.
Yeah, I need to get vaccinated, and as soon as that's
If you guys
Yeah,
just
we
heard
would
that,
love
get
to go there.
vaccinated. Sweet Trip got vaccinated, so you guys need to.
well, half of Sweet Trip. The
Half
other
of
half
Sweet Trip.
hasn't.
At least the other half is wanting to. What point did you guys decide to begin making music together?
Well, we met through a friend who went to my high school and also went to Robbie's high school, and her name is Jill. And at the time, she was invited to join Robbie's band. So then I didn't really have much people to play music with because I already then also played music. So I asked if I could tag along with her to one of their band rehearsals. So then I did that, and that's how I met Robbie and Viet, like when we were teenagers.
I knew that our friend Jill was into a lot of the bands that I was really getting into at the time, and so we asked her if she wanted to sing and just jam and stuff, and it was pretty awesome. And then one day she brought Valerie and her twin sister Veronica and a bunch of other people, and we just started jamming and making noise. And both me and Viet were just in awe of Valerie. We were like, let's just ask her if she wants
Man.
if she wants to start a band. And luckily she said yes.
And what year did you guys meet in? I imagine this was the 90s.
My recollection is 94.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were still in high school, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. And
Yeah.
when the group first started, which I believe was in 95, it was just you and Viet, right, Robbie?
So in between 93 and 94, it was just me and Viet. And then with our friend Jill, somewhere in the middle of 94 or something like that. And then after Valerie joined in, then it became the three of us in 94.
I've got to ask, considering that you've been on a roughly, 11 to 12 year hiatus at this point, what have you guys been doing during this time?
Just living and being an adult and
Yeah.
just just
Yeah.
handling
Jobs and
work and family.
house and things like that. Like
Yeah.
things got pretty. Some of our like our members, some of them got married and have kids. So so it's kind of why we sort of stopped, and then just to our own. Like Robbie continued making music, more
Okay.
like electronic music, like black tunic music. So, but yeah, it's just we got busy and careers, this and that, trying to like be responsible adults, and that takes so much time that the music was more like a side thing instead of like we weren't really releasing stuff for labels. It was just more for our own use kind of thing.
How did your relationship begin with Darla?
So we somewhere around, I think it was like 97 or 98 or so, when we sort of like became like proper like proper Sweet Trip, we started sending out demos to like online music blogs and local labels and things like that. And I think that one of those blogs sent the demo cassette that we sent them to. He sent it to Darla, and that's how Darla got a hold of it. And Darla Records became really interested, and they contacted us. Um, yeah, and I don't even remember if it was like via email or stuff, but this is like, pre-internet, so most likely it was like either email or a phone call or a letter or
Yeah,
something.
it was email.
It was email. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's how we met. That's how we met them through the good word of another online
Blog, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet, sweet. And that was around the time of Halika, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like around 97 or 98 or so.
What was it like getting started in the San Francisco scene?
Well, it was fun. I mean, then in the 90s, the San Francisco scene was pretty hot as far as indie music. And for us, though, it was hard to fit in because a lot of the bands were doing, a lot of, good indie pop. And but we kind of like electronic music, but we also liked indie pop or pop music. But so it was hard to fit in as far as getting in circles, which would play at clubs. And so because our sound was hard to define, um, we didn't get invited as much to like the pop festivals because then we would play instead at electronic music like raves or yeah, we did that. But at the same time, it wasn't all purely electronic either, our music. So it was kind of like um we're like awkward.
Yeah, in the 90s it was really awkward to like put us in or to like to pair us with other bands to play live, because I don't know, we played with rock bands, we played with like ambient drum and bass groups, we played with, I don't know, actually we actually played for the Brian Johnston Massacre.
Did any of the other members who were in Sweet Trip at the time, did they influence the sound at all or the direction of the music you guys were going for?
I think when we started playing with Rock Utingo to support some of the songs, to support Velocity Design Comfort, and right before recording You Will Never Know Why, having Rob on drums to play for us kind of like opened. I think that he opened the possibility of like having acoustic drums and more dynamic drums on the sound. That's one reason why there's a lot of those kinds of drums, including his he plays in Forever and Darkness on that record. So that was really influential to have him play drums for us, because before we became Sweet Trip, Viet was our drummer, and it was just me and Valerie on guitars and vocals, and we were struggling to get a bass player at the time. And then we switched into the computer stuff, and so for a long time we had not played with a drummer.
Yeah, we just used drum machine. Yeah, having Rob kind of grew it more, gave it a little more depth, I guess.
Definitely. And that was probably one of the cooler things when I was discovering your music for the first time, especially listening for how on VDC you would have a lot of electronic glitchy kind of drums, and then just having songs like Chocolate Matter with pretty acoustic style drumming. I always thought that was really interesting. And
yeah, I think Aaron and Viet also had they both had a big impact on the bass aspect of Sweet Trip, because they both like advocated for more groove on bass lines, and we took notice of that, and we try to put it into the music as much as we could.
Did you guys feel around the time that you were playing, did you have any dedicated fans during the scene at all? I remember you mentioning that you kind of said that you weren't necessarily a part of the scene at the time, as you know you couldn't really find those circles. But were there still any fans at all?
I could think of maybe a handful,
Yeah, me too.
because only through Instagram I would get DM'd by a couple or some people, just a handful really, saying, "Oh, I was at your show in so and so years and back when you guys started out." So that's sort of nice, but again, it's just few and far between. Like, I don't know if we even had a following. I just know there's a few people who came out recently that I learned had been there from the start, but it's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, I don't remember us having a following at all.
Yeah,
but
no.
I do remember seeing like a couple of cats who were not our friends or our family members
Yeah,
on several shows that we played, and
yeah.
yeah, I still remember.
It's
who they are.
true. Our shows mostly were family members that we invited or forced to go.
And then we promised a dinner of Salvadorian
Yeah,
food.
that we would treat them afterwards if they just showed up. It's true. I'm not kidding.
No, we're not joking at all.
Yeah, but that's
How did it feel while you were growing such a cult following? Is it something that happened passively, and did you guys even realize it was happening?
No, we didn't even, we were oblivious to the whole rate your music and this growth happening. And yeah, we were just going on with our like lives and stuff. And then I just noticed over the last few years people messaging me and, "Are you Valerie from Sweet Trip?" and asking. I'm like, "Huh? Oh, how did they find, like, because I don't have a website for Sweet Trip. I don't have any. I just have my family Facebook or Instagram." And somehow, yeah, like the fans would find us. And that's when I realized I got more and more of these like nice messages from the fans. And that's when I realized, oh, then they clued me in to rate your music. So then, oh, now I know what's going on. But yeah, it feels unreal, but I'm so thankful.
That's great. I mean, I like that you brought up rate your music, because I mean, you know, you have 13,000 ratings on there, a 4.04 out of 5. That's almost unheard of for any other band to have
Oh,
such a
wow.
high rating.
Wow, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
And going back to what you were talking about with the bass, I you know, listening back to the tracks, especially on "You Will Never Know Why" and VDC, the bass is a very intricate and groovy style. Were there any specific genres or basses that inspired you at all?
So when we when we were in during the 90s, when Viet was around, he was part of the band. He was really into a lot of groovy bass lines, things that were influenced by like Motown and some of the groovy bass lines that a lot of the more like psychedelic kind of Britpop bands were doing at the time. And we also like, well, at least I like a lot of reggae and dub and things like that. Because I grew up I grew up in a Latin American country, so I was exposed to that a lot as a kid. But it didn't really like come out until I heard Seafield for the first time.
Okay.
And I recognize the dub reggae bass lines that they have on their songs, and I thought, oh yeah, this is really awesome. I would love to like pursue this. So yeah, dub, Motown, groovy psychedelic bass lines, and also in many occasions you might get a glimpse of like more like metal sort of influence bass lines in there as well.
And that's I was actually about to bring that up. I noticed in my research, when I was doing research for this, that you're a pretty big metalhead, Robbie. Did that influence any music or of the production for you?
Well, I want to make that clear. I'm not a big metalhead because I will fail a metal trivia night,
I
but
would too.
but I but I really I do love metal. Like that was the first type of music that I loved since I was a kid. Since I was like 6 or 7 or so. Um, shut up.
Were there any specific bands that you were interested in at the time?
Yeah. So my cousins introduced me to Iron Maiden, Rush, which is not really metal, but still. Um, Also things like Metallica, King Diamond. I also like a lot of like the glam metal, glam rock bands like Motley Crue and Poison and all the stuff.
And that's
Metallica's.
fair. Of course, being from California, you gotta like Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You gotta like Motley Crue and Metallica, especially if you're in the Bay Area.
What's your creative process usually like? And this is for Valerie and Rob, of course. Who generally writes the songs, and how do you find your inspiration?
Oh, Robbie is the main songwriter. But generally, when we write songs, it's like there's not really a formula, or it always occurs differently depending on the mood or the song. Sometimes you just start off with a melody in your head or a guitar part and then go from there. Or if you have like a beat, I mean, I'll let Robbie answer, but he said that he beatboxes sometimes and that starts a song for him.
It's really
But
interesting.
yeah, it's just it depends. Like you could be writing words on a journal and that could start off a song. But yeah, it's not like we have a process.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, the song can start from anything and from anywhere at any time, any day. Yeah, it could be like the title of a song can inspire a song. Just a piece of lyrics can inspire a
yeah,
song. Even just a sound.
yeah, like a sound you just keep playing over and
Yeah,
over until you hear other things around it.
yeah, exactly.
What was your inspiration for changing production style, considering the sound from VDC? While it does show up a lot, and you will never know why, it's I would argue an almost entirely different record. And what kind of inspired that change?
After BDC came out, I personally started playing the guitar. I just like picked it up and started just messing around with it more than normal. Um, Especially because at that time I sort of felt like I needed to get better, and I was degressing and in skills, and my fingers were just very dumb and stuff like that. But anyway, point is that I started playing the guitar just to practice, and the more I practiced, the more like little riffs or chord progressions and things like that started to come out, and then from there, the songs just from those little riffs on guitar and also bass, like songs grew out of them, and it was and we felt that it was just the most natural way to represent the songs just as like guitar based songs instead of what we did previously with Velocity Design Comfort. It just felt natural to go that route because it was just like it started from a natural place.
Okay.
Anyway.
That's pretty dope. I mean, considering that there's a bit of a 6 year difference between VDC and you will never know why. Was there any point specifically that you would say that you started writing You Will Never Know Why, or was it just kind of a collection of songs throughout the years?
Um, it's I think that I think that about well, there are a few songs in You Will Never Know Why that were actually written before Velocity Design Comfort, even even possibly before Halika actually. A song like Air Supply was already written around the time.
Oh wow.
Actually, Air Supply was written way before VDC came out. Um, we used to we played that song twice in the 90s. Um, Milk was also something that sort of started to be developed around VDC times, and I think that what's the other song? I think acting, like a big part of acting, was actually written for VDC, but it wasn't going anywhere, so that was just not worked on until You Will Never Know Why, and everything else just started to be developed somewhere around maybe 2002 or so.
Okay,
Well,
that's
no, not
really
2002.
cool.
Actually, wait, because I'm getting my dates wrong. 2008, I will say. Yeah.
2008. Would
Yeah.
you say that the production process took longer than the songwriting did?
Actually, for You Will Never Know, I know. I think that was because it was a more straightforward record and set of songs. It was a lot easier um, to record that, with the exception of the drums for Darkness and Forever, because that was my first time multi-tracking drums, it took a few days or maybe like a whole week for me and Rob to nail it down and record it properly.
Is there any specific hardware that you can remember from the time you were using for VDC?
There's a lot. There's a lot of hardware.
I tried to put pictures of them on my IG. I might have removed it by
I
now.
think that so we had a Juno 6.
Emu ES
Uh-huh.
32.
ESI 32 sampler. We had an Akai sampler too. Like Boss drum machines, Digitech effect pedals.
Yeah.
And
Cubase software.
oh yeah, Cubase.
Cubase
Oh, wow.
Apple.
And if I remember correctly, VDC was and You Will Never Know, they were both self-recorded, correct?
Yes.
That's so interesting. They honestly sound like they were studio quality that you would imagine most bands utilize. The production is honestly amazing on it.
Wow. Thank you.
And back to VDC, you know, there's a really popular fan theory that VDC is a concept record about a human and a robot making an album together. Is this true at all?
We just laughed because it's true for you if you like. I mean, but no, that wasn't the plan when we made this record. We weren't really thinking about humans and robots and another world and future. we didn't even think of all that stuff. But nah, I mean, I don't mind whatever you interpret, but but nah, Robbie can tell you more about.
Yeah, it's you know, it's cool that everyone has their own interpretation of the album. But if I was to say what the record is about, or at least maybe like a theme of the record, that would be a theme of just like kind of like running away, trying to find some, I don't know,
Escape,
hope,
escapism.
yeah, hope and things like that, and trying to find love in there as well. I think
Yeah.
that's really if there is a theme to the album, that would be my theme.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then of course the odd sounds and noises and embellishments. That's just like Robbie trying to see, well, what if I did this, and just sort of like going crazy, like with all the experimenting.
I thought you were gonna say that was Robbie when he fell off with his computer down the stairs.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, it was kind of like free. You have like you're free to do anything you want. So therefore, what if you did this crazy thing? And
Definitely.
so that's why it ended up like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of like, what does this button do? I like what this button does.
And that's actually very interesting. You know, I think a lot of people kind of get that idea about it being a specific type of concept record, mostly just because, Tekka, once it starts off, it kind of sounds almost like a robot kind of starting up, but considering that, we know that it wasn't necessarily intended to be a concept record in the human and robot aspect, what inspired the oddly robotic but beautiful lyrics of Disco?
That song is about it's I think it's basically about trying to like, let's say you have a crush on someone, trying to convince that person to um, to have an interest in you, to notice you in some way. And um, in the lyrics, if you read the lyrics, there's sort of like a lot of like kind of like promises that you're making this person, like, like, notice me, be with me, and I will do all these things for you. When then, like, let's run away. So that's the yeah, that's the inspiration, that's the theme for Disco.
Definitely, and I think that kind of course, suits more, like you were saying, falling into that escapism with a lover ideal behind it. And once again, it's just a great record. And I like that a lot of, there's a lot of similar themes in You Will Never Know Why as well. But how does it feel, to have such acclaimed records on websites like Rate Your Music, and how would you say that played a role in your guys', very random but cult-like rise in following?
I think that we like we love Rate Your Music and everyone in there, because I think that has made a huge impact on the tiny little amount of success that we find ourselves in right now. And to me, it was just like really overwhelming and really humbling
Yeah.
to
Lot of love from everyone, you guys.
yeah.
So it's also a real big reason why we reconnected, Robbie and I, is because of you, the fans, and how we, someone, in John LaPierre from KMNR Radio in 2019, late 2019, contacted us and asked to do an interview with us. And just, we hadn't done an interview in years since that time when he asked us. And from there, it just kind of multiplied. Suddenly, we are getting more interview requests. So we just feel so like grateful. And it feels awesome. Yeah.
I really think that the Rate Your Music community helped play a role in getting more notice about you guys out there. I mean, I noticed when I first started listening to you guys on Spotify, you had roughly 10,000, 15,000 monthly listeners, and now you're upwards of 300,000, which is a very, very insane rise to me.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like 10,000 listens is just amazing just by itself. So.
For sure. I mean, especially considering, like you were saying, nobody in the scene back in the 90s and early 2000s were really paying attention to you.
Yeah.
But if we could go back there real quick for Halika, it was a part of the Bliss Out series that Darla was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. How did this album, come into fruition? Did you already have this, idea in your head how you wanted for an ambient kind of techno style album, or did they ask you to release this record, or what was kind of the behind the scenes on that?
The songs in Halika were recorded during maybe like a period of 2 years or so. We were doing a lot of recordings of different styles, and we were sort of like recording a lot of songs and trying to figure out our sound and things like that. And some of the songs that we were recording were actually ended up being in Halika. It was more, when we, one day, I remember Viet and Valerie one day, they came to me and they said that, we should just compile all those songs where you're like, all those songs that have distorted drum machines and weird ambient guitars and things like that. It was just like, combine it. This is gonna be the songs that we play. We should play it as Sweet Trip. and we should just push these songs to hopefully get a record. So it wasn't planned at all. The writing of the songs, the creation of the songs, it wasn't planned at all. It was just like a lot of experimenting and trying to figure out what we could sound like. But then when we had a good amount of those type of songs, we just said like, okay, this. There's something here. Let's play these live and see if we can create a demo. So that's how Halika came out. I always think of Halika as like um, the art. I think of Halika as like the demo that we got paid for, as opposed because it's really like Halika is really like our demo cassettes plus 3 or 4 songs in there.
And that's very interesting. I mean, it sounds so well structured for it to just, in your eyes, be considered as a demo. Um, would you say that you viewed Allura essentially the same, or was that more of a planned release?
I think that was more planned. I think if I, I could say that of all the records that we've made, I think Allura is probably the most planned of them all, because after Halika, and after we had experience playing with DJs, like some DJs, or like a rave here and there, or some with other electronic acts, um, we thought, it'd be kind of cool if we put an instrumental, like kind of like electronic record, with the hope to find some DJs who would play it at clubs and things like that. So that was kind of like the plan. One of the songs in Allura, which I think is the last song, called Kate. That was actually part of the Halika, the group of songs that made up Halika. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think of putting that song in Halika at all until Allura. But yeah, I guess that was planned. Yeah.
What made you guys want to begin making music as a duo again?
Oh, when we got reconnected, it was so exciting, and I did miss making music with Robbie. So all the years that we weren't connected at all, I always missed it. So when we finally got back in touch, it was like, oh yeah, it just felt natural. Like now there's listeners and there's people asking if we'll be making more stuff or come back together. So then, yeah, next thing you know, see in Robbie's Twitter that, yeah, we are gonna do an album. So I'm like, really? Oh, okay. But no, I think it is just reconnecting and missing making music together was enough inspiration for us to make an album.
And that's really cool. I gotta say, me and everyone else in chat, and the wider fan base as is, are very glad that you guys are back. It's
Thanks.
it's honestly a blessing, and I'm sure you guys don't even realize it. But that being said, now that we can talk about the new release, the upcoming album, A Tiny House and Secret Speeches, Polar Equals, I've got to say, that's a very interesting title. Is there any inspiration you had specifically for the album name?
It's like the album is we tried to make like a romantic album, and so like usually when there's romantic um feelings between like people, or so they kind of think of like, oh, we'll get married and we'll have a house and this and that, and then there's a whole like tiny house movement that's pretty cool. So then, yeah, tiny houses are neat. So then that's tiny house, and then secret speeches, like usually if you like people pass secret notes in school to their crushes, or yeah, I think it's just um it's the polar equals like basically it's supposed to be a record about love. And what sort of things come to mind when you think of how love um just happens over time, and what sort of things are associated with it? Like, I hope that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah, it does.
definitely. I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly really great that you guys were speaking about tiny houses. I didn't even think about that until you just said it. But we know that this record mostly explores love, which is, it's not a new topic to you guys. But are there any specific topics that you delve into within love, or can we expect a VDC style concept involving escapism?
I think it may actually feel more personal, maybe. I think the elements of escapism are are there. I think it does. I think it's just in a way it's kind of part of our language. So it's probably there in some way or another. But yeah, I think it probably may sound more personal than previous songs.
Very
Yeah, I
interesting.
think there's less heartbreak, or because
There's
there's less of a
there's no heartbreak.
yeah, there's no heartbreak in there. Not like maybe the other albums where it also speaks of like resentment and or
Mhm,
disappointment.
mhm.
So
Okay.
this one is tried it to be hopeful or optimistic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. Are there any specific influences that we can, expect to possibly hear through this record?
Um, I think that the influences that are still very important to us definitely played a part of the sound of the new record, just like it played an important part in the other records. Things like slow dive, IDM,
Okay.
maybe some electro. Just a lot of things that are a big part of our playlist, I guess.
Are there any certain guitar pedals, hardware, or new effects plugins for that you're using on the production side of things?
Um, not pedals for not new pedals for the production side of it. It's a lot of plugins. Kind of blanking out of anything new, but I do also use a lot of the stuff that I used to use back in the early 2000s. If it works on my computer, if it doesn't work, then I can't use it anymore, unless I buy myself a Pentium or something. Um, for those kids out there who don't know what a Pentium computer is,
You guys,
Pentium computers
before you were born.
before you were born, Pentium computers were some of the fastest computers back in the late 90s. So.
And I definitely don't see a point in kind of retrograding at this point.
Yeah, yeah. There's no point of doing that. But yeah, there's a lot of plugins and a lot of I guess mostly plugins that I use, and I'm trying to use less, but it's usually the same set of plugins effects.
Okay, that's very good. And how long would you guys say that this album's been in the works?
I think it took it might have taken a little less than a year, and it's actually done, I think. So it's just a matter of like scheduling and figuring out when it's the right time for that to be out.
Is this all entirely new material, or can we expect some maybe re-recorded unreleased material from the Seen Unseen compilation?
No,
It's
that's
all new,
All new.
all new stuff. Yeah.
That's great. And back to kind of some more production questions. Is there anyone in particular that's mixed and mastered your album? Any new people that you're working with on this record?
We do everything ourselves with the exception of mastering. It's because we let the professionals handle that side of things. But we do everything together. We mix everything on the computer together. And as far as mastering for the new record, I think if Darla Record is listening, I'm really sorry, but I'm blanking out on the name of the person. Sorry.
Me too, I forgot.
I think now we're going to move on to some community-based questions. I have some questions pulled here from Instagram and chat. If you guys would like to ask anything, now's your time to do it. But Percolator or Perk V later asked, how has your approach to making music changed over the years?
Um, I think it's simplified now because then we use um Ableton Live, and I just remember over the years just still you doing 4 track, but so just I think we just sort of downsizing with as far as equipment, and just like Robbie says, just make music using less stuff and more software or plugins.
Mhm.
But as far as other process how we make music, like as far as inspiration and coming up with the melodies and stuff like that, I think it's still the same. I don't think it changed.
Yeah, I also think it's the same. I think it's because the, the way that we work or the way we start songs is so like disparate. It's like all over the place. You know, like anything can become a song that there's because there's never been a because of that there's never been an actual like process. You know, step by step type of thing. Um, yeah, so we're still open. We'll still write songs the way that we write songs, and we are open to like inspiration from anywhere really.
Interesting. And you guys said that you were using Ableton Live now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you using Ableton on You Will Never Know Why, or was that still Cubase like VDC?
That is Ableton Live actually.
Okay, really interesting. And for all you out there who don't know, Ableton is probably the best DAW for bedroom musicians. I gotta say it's a great program. But Audi _ R8V10 asked, are live shows possible in the future?
We would like to. COVID depending.
Yeah,
COVID depending, of course.
that would be great. I would love to. I mean, I always enjoyed doing live shows. Even back then when we had 2 people in the audience or so. But yeah, it's great. It's fun to meet everybody in person.
Yeah,
and
That's really
get to
interesting.
travel.
yeah. We
Yeah.
would love to do that. We would love to go to Argentina.
Yes.
We're listening.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
we love live radio shows also.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that as fans we've been yearning for is just more live footage, considering we just have kind of a few shaky fan cams to go off of right now. And I gotta say I'm honestly stoked, especially hoping COVID ends soon for that to happen.
Yeah, that's the shaky camera work are probably like friends or family members that we have to drive to go to shows and record it.
Yeah.
So they didn't care how they were filming that stuff.
Yeah.
That's really cool. At least you had people there that were willing to document it.
Yeah, something is better than nothing.
On over to the next question. A pretty basic question, but WJD Samaj asked, "What's your favorite boss pedal?"
What's your favorite boss pedal?
Well, my favorite boss pedal is digital delay DD3. Cause like it's simple, but
It's a classic.
yeah, it's classic, and I like that one. I use that a lot. So
Mine would be the PH1R phaser, the green phaser that has like a resonance, has an extra knob for resonance. I love that pedal.
Okay, that's really interesting. I've heard of the digital delay, but not the phaser pedal. But I'm also not the biggest pedal guy, unfortunately. I like to keep my tones simple. But Speedy Coco asked, "What are your favorite songs off of VDC and You Will Never Know Why?"
I would say for me, I like my favorite would be International
Okay,
or Pro Love Ad.
that's great.
For me, or BDC will be International or Design 2-3.
Okay. And those are great tracks, but then again, I would have taken anything that album's pretty perfect in my opinion.
Oh,
And
thank
what
you.
about? Of course. And honestly, I'd have to say, "You Will Never Know Why" is a pretty perfect album as well.
Oh,
Favorite songs
Oh, we
off of
need to
that?
answer that. Oh, for you, I'll never know why. My favorite is To the Moon.
Okay,
yeah, I think that would be my favorite too.
interesting. Yeah,
Get your
that's
own
I know
favorite.
you copied me. I said it
No,
first.
I was thinking of it first. Get your own.
and let's see. Joey says "International" makes me cry. A lot of people, yeah, a big love for VDC right
Um,
now.
Cool.
I gotta say personally, "Darkness" is what makes me cry. It's probably my favorite song of all time.
oh,
Uh,
that's sweet. Thanks.
and Happiness Jones Band asks, after years of such little fanfare, what kept you guys motivated to continue pursuing music?
I personally feel that without music, I'm just like lost. So it's a huge part of me, just as big as eating ice cream or breathing, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. It's just something that I do for myself and for my health and for my emotional state. Um, I consider it, you know, that I consider it a hobby, but it's more than a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a emotional release. So you always have strong feelings, and then the best way to feel it is when you translate it in music. So it's sort of like my answer would be like Robbie too, where I probably couldn't do without it.
Mhm.
Definitely, and I'd have to say that's definitely something that shines through in your guys' music a lot is definitely the emotional aspect. I mean, there's plenty of emotion even in songs, such as Sept, where there's really only one line that's repeated over and over, but the music fills it out so much. Um, and let's see, Reptilian Hybrid asks, besides music, what are your interests or your hobbies?
Um, I like to cook. Um, I also like to um, I like to practice. This is kind of geeky, but I like to practice mixing a lot. So oftentimes I just like record random crap on Ableton and I just like practice mixing. I find it's very soothing. It's a very soothing thing to do for me, but it's kind of weird. Um, I like to read, although I haven't read a book in 3 years. uh, Bike riding. I love bike riding.
Yeah, for me that hobbies, bike riding, same, and baking too. Yeah.
What inspired the title for VDC?
One thing that one one thing that I had in mind when I was working on when we were working on VDC was how much I liked flipping channels like really late at night, and you get all those like infomercials, just crazy infomercials and things like that. And I would just like press the remote control like that and just like flip channels, and I get this like real crazy montage of just like people selling vacuum cleaners and houses and stuff. And it reminded me of like many years before that when I used to listen to the radio, AM radio, and just like turn the dial and just like scroll left and right. And I was just like spend like some time doing that. I really love doing that kind of like weird chopped up sound
Yeah,
thing.
sound it makes when you do it from one
Yeah.
channel to
Yeah,
another. It's cool.
yeah. Then you get like the white noise and static in between things. Um, and something that I had in the back of my mind was not only that, but also like watching commercials, watching these commercials like late at night, and how they all had this like weird kind of like catchphrase, like. And so I imagine like if I had a product, what would be like the catchphrase or the marketing words for to promote this product, and I thought, okay, velocity, design, comfort. That could be cool if I was selling a car or a train or something or a Concorde or something like that. So that was the inspiration for that title.
That's actually really cool. I didn't expect that. That's honestly really great. Let's see. Benjabillions is asking who made your album
It's really
art.
silly, but sorry?
No, I wouldn't consider it silly at all.
Oh, the art for BDC, the cover art was made by Andrew Prince of this band. He has his own music band called Mahogany. So he was like an in-house hired artist by Darla. So I guess Darla just basically commissioned him to do the art, and yeah. So he came up with that, and yeah, it's really good. So
Yeah.
Cool. And is there any sort of I guess you could say like reasoning for the just a regular razor blade on the You Will Never Know Why album cover?
for You Will Never Know Why, that's interesting because Aaron Porter actually drew that blade. So he came up with that. And to this day, I don't really understand the reason how he came up with the blade. We were just, okay, this is it. And I mean, again, we were pretty simple people that we didn't really spend so much time trying to figure out the art. So yeah, when Aaron came up with it, we were like, okay, we'll use that without really thinking about it much.
Definitely.
Which
We're kind of bad about because at that time we were trying to figure out the artwork and we were just going back and forth and no decisions were being made. And I think I may be wrong on this, but I feel that Aaron one day just said like, okay, this is enough. I'm gonna try this.
yeah,
And he just sent it out, and we were like, oh, okay, sure.
because we were getting closer to the deadline. So just use whatever you just do it, like forget trying to find somebody, just. So, but that's so ironic because the blade, it's becoming like an iconic symbol thing. And the funny thing is like it we received a lot of comments saying that is this about suicide, and the songs themselves have a sort of dark, some of them have a sort of a dark feeling to it, and it might have been interpreted as us condoning suicide. So I just, yeah, there are some people who thought that's what it meant, and
Oh wow.
I'm like, oh no, that's not how what we want or wanna project as far as a meaning. So then yeah, which explains too why we changed the art for the reissue. So we created more like a comic book story, which still ties in with the blade, but it has a very hopeful and optimistic, not such a desolate and despairing message. So
Definitely.
just wanted to make it clear that we love life and not trying to promote suicide or anything.
For sure. And I can definitely see, some of the darker aspects shining through, especially going back to Darkness, the I Will Never Fall in Love Again. Is there anything that specifically inspired that line?
I think that there was a lot of stuff going on with me personally at the time, and I think that a lot of that stuff influenced a lot of the lyrics in that record, including that line. And at the same time, I was just kind of like playing a puzzle, where I was trying to fit a melody to that kind of weird chord, not time signature.
Definitely the 7/8 to kind of 4/4 feeling was very, I imagine, pretty hard to put a melody to.
Yeah, and it was I kind of remember not finding something that would work, and I just thought like, okay, well, cool, this could be like a cool instrumental thing, and it just like out of nowhere that melody came out with the words, and it fit to my liking. And
That's actually really cool. I mean, that's something I think about a lot. How you guys manage to seamlessly fit that kind of awkward rhythm, but it flows so smoothly throughout the ending track or the ending of the track. And we've got Tosper 2. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name right now, but he asked, "Are you guys excited for the My Bloody Valentine comeback?"
Oh, wow. I
yeah.
didn't know they have a comeback.
Yeah.
They are? Oh, okay.
I think they're coming back sometime this year. I think.
Oh, wow.
Sometime this year, right?
I think so.
Oh,
That's the
I
last time
didn't know
remember.
about it. But that's exciting. I mean, I I listened to them a lot, and when I was a teenager, I did see them play at Slim's, and that was like one of my first concerts as a kid. So yeah, I mean it's exciting. So hopefully they'll play a lot of the early stuff that I like.
Definitely, and I think we can hear a good amount of My Bloody Valentine influence, specifically like the kind of um, the the big part, as I call it, in Chocolate Matter, right after the words. That part's always reminded me of some Loveless kind of stuff right there.
Yeah.
And Snow Structures 222 asks, "What inspired the name Sweet Trip?"
Sweet Trip is a translation. Well, in Spanish in my country, I'm from Panama. One of the slang words or one of the slang phrases or one of the slang names for LSD was the tasty trip, but in Spanish. And I kind of I remember that when I was thinking of band names and stuff, and I remember that, but then I thought that the tasty just sounded really corny, so I just like switched it to sweet, and it sounded okay to me, and
Definitely.
that's how it stayed.
That's really cool. Let's see. To Quixie, I'm sorry once again if I messed up your name, but they asked, did you guys make this new album with live playing in mind?
No,
No?
not at all. We never write anything with live performances in mind, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And
Yeah.
in a way, it can be a kind of a cumbersome thing to do that, because then you have to think
Yeah,
about how
like
to
we need equipment now.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, how are we gonna? Okay, we need to buy
Yeah.
guitars or
Yeah.
drums or
And then like if
more.
we get a drummer, like we have to think of click tracks and all that stuff,
Yeah,
it's a lot of things to consider.
we kind of have to work backwards now.
Exactly.
Okay, what else what parts are we gonna leave in?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what can we play? Like, what do you want to play? Who
Yeah.
plays what?
Yeah.
Have you guys talked to Aaron or Viet or anyone that used to be in the band at all? Were they particularly interested in joining again?
Well, we haven't. Well, we're good friends with everyone. Still till today. But we haven't asked anyone if they're interested in playing. I really doubt that Viet or Aaron will be available to do so. Viet lives in Southern California, and he's a fireman, so he's all set.
Got hands full.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
Sam Aaron he's running like a Belgian bar and has kids, so I don't know if you'll have a time either.
Yeah, exactly.
The
But
band
we
grew
have
up.
friends who asked us, and so the considering, yeah.
That's really cool.
And
I'm
there's
just gonna.
there's
Oh, I
always
apologize.
Rob. That's
Yeah.
all right. There's always Rob.
Rob's always in multiple bands.
Yeah, Rob
He's
plays
got
in,
his
like,
own band, but
he plays in like 1,007
yeah.
bands. It's insane.
But yeah, I mean, I think we're just glad to have you guys back in general. I'm probably gonna ask just a couple more questions, and then I'm gonna kill the stream for a second, chat. So stay in here, but they are going to come back on and give us a beautiful, wonderful performance. But let's see. Let's get a question here. Six Ray asked, "What's the group's preferred guitar?"
For me, it will be the Stratocaster.
Stratocaster. That's yeah. I mean that's pretty standard at this point too. I'd say.
Yeah, I've had a several guitars through the years, but I always like end up going back to the Stratocasters. To me, it's bright and versatile.
Yeah, it's extremely versatile.
Yeah, and it has more. Sorry for the expression, but it has more balls than a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see that.
Sorry.
Especially
Sorry.
putting like some more effects on it and whatnot. It can definitely. Strat Gang Nicorus says, yeah, it's just you can't go wrong with it. Whether you want to play metal or indie pop. And let's see. Snow Structures 222 asked, was there anything in particular that inspired the recording of noise as a social skill?
No, not really. That's kind of a well, to me, to my brain, that's kind of a forgotten song. I don't recall if there's anything specific. Well, I mean, aside from the fact that it was kind of written for someone, and I guess lyric-wise, it was supposed to be like the things that like if I was like in front of this person, like the things that I would like tell this person, and yeah, hopefully there'll be like nice things to say. But other than that, it was actually really, I think it was kind of a very simple recording. In fact, the version that it's available streams or YouTube or something like that, that's really a demo of what was supposed to be the final version of it. But it just after that it just got dropped, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, some tracks will just do that. Let's see. I don't believe that there's any more questions for right now, so I'm going to kill the stream real quick. It's been a pleasure interviewing, guys, and I'm so glad that you accepted this. I would love to, tell everybody, if you haven't already, go on Instagram right now and follow Sweet Trip Valerie and Sweet Trip Robbie.
We have to try to consolidate somehow. Because again, we just started out with our own personal Facebook and Instagram accounts. We actually just meant it for family sharing, stuff like that. It just sort of became Sweet Trip because again we were getting DM by like listeners, and so it just sort of evolved into like a Sweet Trip thing. So at least we have a presence online because we had nothing really. So now, yeah, people can contact us through our Instagram, and we're gonna try to figure out a way to consolidate and just have one Sweet Trip account. I don't know, which means some of you will have to leave Robbie's site or what, or I don't know how we're gonna do it, because people are telling us you need a Sweet Trip Instagram account so we can find you more easily, and so.
Well, here's another example of us, kind of like similar to the artwork for You Will Never Know, why we're like, what are
the
we
worst
doing?
promoters,
Yeah.
the worst. Well, we need to get some business sense into ourselves.
I've got to say, I think the music just kind of speaks for itself as well. That's the main thing I care about, at least as a fan. But yeah, you heard it. They're going to try to find a way to consolidate those two together. If you haven't followed Feelings Club NC yet on Instagram, feel free to do so. We're going to try and get other bands interviewed as well. And I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream. And Sweet Trip will be back on to perform a couple songs for us. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Hello, we're back.
We're back. Back to take more of your time.
And you guys said you were going to perform 3 songs, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Cool. Well, you guys take the show away. It's all yours.
Let's see, what are we playing first?
I forgot
Oh, well,
already.
you know this song. It's called In Sound We Found Each Other, and we have that released like almost a year ago of a little Darla has a treat for you. It's called In Sound We Found Each Other. Hey, see? I was supposed to record? Oh! How foolish the sound we conquer. How foolish the sound together. And unlike your dreams, we always find each other. Unconscious the man, yet sober. The tune that he sings to her lover. And just like a dream, we'll thrive to find each other. Tenacious the sound we molded, a tune made of clay and butter, unconscious of me, just like we found each other. And we're cool just because of you. Just because of you, just because of you, just because of and we're cool. Just because of you, just because of you, just because of you, just because of
That was awesome. That was
Thank
that
you.
was awesome.
Thanks for listening. Thank you so much.
Of course, of
Stripped
course.
down version.
Their version.
Definitely. And I believe you guys have another song.
Yeah, we're
up for us.
nervous.
Oh no. I understand that. You guys are perfectly fine. Chat's loving you right now.
The egg is just drop the egg. But yeah, like the next song is called Milk. So
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you
sure
again for
everyone knows
having
this one.
us. Sleep on this bed, tossing and turning, you'll never figure out a way. Harder to be free when you look at me, hoping to find me away on this lonely bed. you drift away. Don't you drift away. No, our mind is too long ride. You will drift away, and our mind is to you. You will drift away, and I won't mind. Yes, it's true. No, you will drift away. Don't you drift away. Don't you drift away. No, our mind is so long line. You will drift away, and our mind is to you.
Oh my God, that was insanely
I'm running
beautiful.
out of breath. Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Of course, and I do believe that you guys have one more song for us, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, yes, sir.
And if I remember correctly, this is the new single, Walkers Beware, correct?
That's right.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, this is history, guys. This is the first time they're
No,
performing
no.
it. Not
Don't
to add
say
to
that,
any
you're
nerves.
making me nervous.
No,
Don't say
don't
you're
be
making me
nervous.
nervous.
You're doing so
My
good.
hands are cold. I messed up, and you know I'm scared. Just kidding. Sorry. Be professional. Be calm.
You're doing great. You're sounding wonderful, Valerie. Robbie's doing great. Well, let's go ahead and get this song going.
Vehicle passing through the street. There it is. I can hear it. Serenade the night, we must play songs made out of blood. We have all the time. Dress undressed despite us, aching to repeat. Driving to the sun. Beware.
Dress undressed,
Won't be held alive to the sun. Serenade the night, we must play songs that are in love. We have all the time. That was the short version. I got nervous. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're perfectly fine.
Thanks
That was
for
that was
having
still
us.
honestly amazing. And thank you guys so much for joining. Everyone in chat saying love you right now.
Oh, we love you
We
too.
love you too.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of it. Really, this was absolutely amazing. Uh, they're asking you to play Chocolate Matter, but I'm not gonna throw that on you guys. They've done more than enough for us, Toesper. I'm so sorry.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time for sure. We'd love to have you guys back. This has been really fun. And
Yes,
is there any
it
parting
was
words you'd
great.
like to say?
We love
Well,
you guys.
yeah, thanks for being so patient with waiting for the record and for like waiting for all your orders and stuff. So just really appreciate all of you. And it'll be out soon. So
It'll be out soon. In the
Mm.
meantime, if you don't have your copy of Walkers Beware or any of the reissues, the BBC reissue or the You Never Know Why reissue, there's still copies
still
left.
available. Yeah. And we just want to thank at Feelings Club North Carolina for inviting us and being such gracious hosts and helping us to prepare and everything. So, and all of you listening, thank you for all your support. Yeah, you guys are the best. We wouldn't have come back unless you, that without you or because of you, we came back. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful. And I believe that we are gonna end it. If you guys want to check anything out, we like to stream every now and then. We like to do interviews as well. I play a lot of video games on here, so if you ever want to just come and hang out, feel free to do so. Like I said, follow Sweet Trip Valerie and Sweet Trip Robbie on Instagram. I'm sure if they ever consolidate, they'll let you know on their personal Instagrams. But once
Yeah.
again, thank you guys so much.
Yes.
This was a wonderful interview.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Miss Leslie, too, for
Oh, yeah,
earlier
definitely.
Thank you, Leslie.
Wolf Circus.
That's another thing. Go
See
follow Wolf
everybody.
Circus right now on any platform. They had an amazing DJ set right before then.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, I'm going to end the
Bye,
stream.
everybody.
Bye.